This channel and its content are purely for entertainment. If you happen to learn something, awesome. I'm not a professional mechanic, fabricator, HVAC tech, contractor, chef, etc. Take my advice loosely and use it if you like and agree. Otherwise, do it your way. Enjoy the video. Today we're going to introduce you to the 1986 GMC Sierra Classic. Had this truck for about 28 years. Done a few things to it over time, but pretty much it's mostly an original truck. I did have to do an engine swap. It's had a couple transmissions in it, but the truck itself is basically pretty much original. Do you think at all before you talk about this, Turner? Really? It's an original truck, but you've swapped the engine, a couple transmissions, and I think I'm going to find out you've done more. Well, I've tried to keep it up over time, tried to keep it as rust-free as possible, and I guess I should go back and say it did have a paint job in 1996. All original, but a paint job, a motor, and 2 transmissions so far. Let's see where else this is going. That's long since rusted, much like most Chevy and GMC trucks. Today we're actually going to take a look at a pulley situation that I've got. The motor in this is a Blueprint 355 that I dropped in here about 3 years ago. The pulley system and brackets and things were all original from the original 305 that was in it, and there was, for some reason, either they were bent or they just didn't quite line up right on this thing, and so my belt, one of the belts has always ran a little crooked, but it's always worked and I haven't had any problems with it. Well, that's changed. Recently, it started flipping itself over upside down. So I'm afraid it's going to throw a belt now. And so we're going to take a look at that and see if we can figure out what we need to do to bend a bracket or add some washers, you know, do something, keep this thing from flipping the belt over and straining me somewhere. We'll get a closer look at the truck and then I'll show you what's up with the belt situation. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a quick tour here around this thing. I did replace the wheels and tires not too long ago with some Torques and some Cooper Cobras. I do like white letter tires. Some people don't, but I think on a classic truck, I think they look good. So got the white letters out. You can see the paint's not horrible, but it's definitely got rust. It's got rust, you know, in the normal places above the wheel well. You can see lots of rust holes coming through there, and again I've tried shooting some paint on it here and there just to keep the rust down, but overall the truck's in great shape. It's really fairly rust free, and you know, just the normal places, but I've tried to keep it in decent shape. Bed's in great shape. I've always had some kind of a rubber bed mat or something in here, which I replaced this a few years ago with a new one. Took the extra pieces of rubber, threw them up on the wheel wells there to protect those, because I couldn't actually find one that actually works for this truck anymore. Way back in the day.
Well, back in my day.
You could just go buy these things at, you know, your auto parts store and they'd fit right in here, but today it's a little tougher to find them. So I managed to find a kind of a universal, cut it on the sides and put those up on the wheel wells, which I personally like. It saves the wheel wells quite a bit when you're hauling stuff. And I do use this truck. It's not a show truck in any way, shape, or form. I'm not looking to restore it to something I don't drive or show. I'm just trying to make a daily driver out of it, and it's been a good truck. Got a missing emblem over here, which I do have inside the truck. I just haven't put it back on there. I am going to paint this truck myself. It's on my bucket list of things to do. I did replace a lot of the front end pieces here. I did put a new grille in it, kind of customized it and bolted on the original driving lights. These are actually not sealed beam lights. They're actually containers that you can slide LED bulbs in, which was a great upgrade. The lights are super bright now. Okay, now it's motor, 2 transmissions, a paint job, new tires and wheels, a new grille and lights, but it's an all original truck. Moron. They work really well. I did originally have the little push bars on the front of this. I took them off. That's something I don't know if I'll put back on or not on the bumper, but I still have them, and that's debatable for the future. Okay, just a quick look inside. You can see that, all original door panels and things. I have replaced a few things like these little guys that always break, and I've replaced a couple of these switches and other pieces. New actuators for the power windows. I did at one time replace the wing window, or I rebuilt the original wing windows. I'm not happy with those. They don't really work very well. The rubber got really dried out really quick, and so I actually have brand new ones of those I plan on putting in this thing eventually. Inside, I just threw a seat cover on the original bench seat. It was in good shape, just needed something to cover up it's kind of falling apart a little bit. Threw in a little console there. Again, pretty much factory. I did upgrade my mirror with a backup mirror, so I actually have a backup camera and a front facing camera hooked up to this thing, which may be an abomination to those purists out there that think I wouldn't put something crazy electronic in this old non-electronic truck, but it's there. I like it. Back glass, got my custom cardboard piece there, holding it from rattling around. That is something I'm going to replace, is that back glass. It does rattle a lot. I don't see any way to really fix that, so I'm going to replace it. Again, I also did one of the things years and years and years ago that a lot of people don't like, but I cut the dash so I could put me a normal single DIN radio in it. And I like that, so I can easily swap that out if I need to. Got a big sub behind this thing and an amp. In any case, it's got a pretty good speaker setup, good sound system. It's just a good old basic truck, and you can see a little bit of the rust that I've got down here, but it's not horrible. Open up the hood here, show you what we've got going on here. Again, got a 355 Blueprint crate motor that I put in here a few years ago. Got some headers, stainless steel. Got an Optima battery in it. Pretty much cleaned up the engine bay. It's not fancy, but it's functional. Did have to put a new windshield wiper reservoir and pump in there recently. It finally crapped out and broke. I did replace these inner fender wells, so these are all brand new. Put those in, painted those up. Pretty solid engine bay. I'm really happy with it. It's not a show truck. I'm not looking to make anything fancy. Just looking for functional and something to get me. I've formally call this truck the trash truck because I usually take it off once a week in here. Other than hauling things here and there or just driving it for the fun of it, that's about what I use the truck for. It may eventually get the words trash truck written on it, I don't know. You can see my problem right here. This guy is flipped upside down, and it's probably really hard to see, but it is at an angle. This appears to be, and again, I'm not exactly sure which pulley, the air conditioner, which bracket we're going to have to pull off here to get this thing to line up right, but we're going to take a look at it and see if we can figure that out. We're going to start here with loosening up this bolt, which is on a slide. You can see they've got adjustments there, and we're going to loosen up this bolt, and I think then this will slide if I remember right. There is another bolt down there on the power steering pump. I don't think I have to loosen that, but we're gonna take these guys loose and then we'll see where we're at from there. All right, they're loose. Let's see if we can move this thing. Don't normally recommend beating on these. There is one more bolt down here on the bottom. I'm gonna loosen that one up. Now, there's actually a slot right here that I believe you can put a 3/8 inch drive ratchet in, or breaker bar, would be more appropriate, and pull that way. So we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, well, I lied. It's not a 3/8, it's a 1/2 inch. So got me a 1/2 inch breaker bar here. Slide that guy in there and see if we can push this down there a little bit. There we go. There we go. She's slid now. There. I'm just going to pull the belt off to the side here for now and look at it, but what I can see just by looking at it, and I didn't realize how bad it was, but it's really the air conditioner itself, the pulley on there, that's not lining up. The pulley that runs on the power steering pump is lined up correctly. So really the only problem we've got is this air conditioner bracket. It's just not quite there, and it needs to go, this whole thing needs to go, let me pull this out of here. Yeah, the whole thing needs to go out and tilt a little bit. So it's definitely going to need some washers or something on the back of this to line it up. I'm going to pull this back again and take a look. Yeah, it's really way off. It needs to come out considerably. On the top, actually the bottom doesn't look bad, but the top needs to come way out this way. So we got to find a way to get this to move out this way, and I think it's going to need to be the bracket that connects to the top of the intake here is where we're going to have to push it out on this side, is what I'm thinking. Get you guys down in here where you can see that. So I believe this bracket right here, if you can see that, is going to need some washers or something behind that so that this whole top gets pushed out. Because I don't know if you can see this at this angle or not, but I think you can tell just by looking at it that it's cockeyed. But you know, we've got to line up with that bracket right down there, or that pulley right there. And if you look back here, you can see we're off. Now down here, we're actually in pretty good shape. It's really hard to see with the camera, but it's pretty much dead on with this pulley here to this pulley here. I mean, we're straight. But when you get up here, we are not. This whole front needs to come this way. And I don't believe that anything we do here is going to matter all that much. It's probably going to be a combination of this bolt back here and actually this bracket here. So I think I'm going to disconnect this one and then see if we've got some flex in this. I mean, ideally, I might just have to bend this bracket a little bit to get it to push out that way. So we may just need to give it a little persuasion here, because it would appear that it's just far enough off that it isn't lining up. Yeah, since we're good down here on the bottom, I think this bracket here is really our issue, and this is holding it directly to the engine through the intake there. So I don't know how much flex we've got if we take that off. So I'm going to start by taking that bolt loose, get this loosened up, and then we'll see if we've got any flex at all in it. May have to take it off down here too, just to see if there's any flex and movement in that at all to get it to come this way, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so after much loosening of bolts and finagling of things here, got it pretty well lined up on this top pulley. The bottom pulley, not quite. I'm gonna see if just tightening up the rest of these bolts works. I really didn't have to bend anything or add any washers or anything. I did have to put a longer bolt on the bracket that holds the, that bolts down to the intake. For some reason that bolt just would not, it was just barely catching thread before, and so I don't think you could tighten that up properly and get it properly lined up. So I was able to get a different bolt from Rule King. And just a public service announcement on that, if you need bulk hardware, whether that's bolts, nuts, washers, those kind of things, if you've got a Rule King or a Big R, Big K, I don't know if places like you know, other farm stores and ag stores or whatever do this, you know, they weigh their stuff by the pound. So rather than going to a big box store and paying for, you know, a little plastic container full of bolts that you'll probably pay $3 or $4 for when you really just needed one bolt and a washer, I literally went there, got a few extra bolts, a couple different sizes, a few washers, and a couple of lock washers just in case I needed those, and I came out of there $1.38. So definitely go to there. They weigh it by the pound. Basically, you can just have a big pile of the whatever grade hardware you're looking for, and they just weigh it on the scale, and they charge you all the same amount no matter what it is. So definitely the way to go versus a big box. So I would recommend that. But in any case, I did get a bolt put in there to hold this bracket, and I'll show you here in just a second. Kind of hard to see, but you can see my blue bolt down there. I did get grade 8 hardware. And so in any case, I got a new bolt to that bracket down there, and I put a washer on the end of it and got it tightened up so that it's good and snug. That has helped me. I did have to loosen up a bolt underneath here. I did loosen up that bolt down there. And basically all the bolts, anything that was attached to this air conditioner or the brackets, I loosened all the bolts. I've maneuvered this all around, and I've got this, what I think is pretty lined up. So it may be a little hard to tell, but it really is. It is actually straight here across to that pulley. It's still not quite down here now, so I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit, but I think just tightening these bolts is going to do it. So we got a bolt here, we got this bolt up here, we've got these 2 bolts that we got to tighten, and then there's another one down here. So I'm going to see if I get all those tightened up where we're at, but I think we're going to be a lot closer than we were. I haven't replaced this belt. This belt is probably going to need replacing. It's probably only 3 years old, although it is a little dry rotted and cracked. But that's a whole nother day. Anyway, we're going to go with this one, but we're going to see if we get our line back up here and see where we're at. All right, well, it's not perfect, and this belt, you can't hardly tell because it's a little bit bent from being on there. It's crooked, but this pulley is really lined up from there to there. And boy, does it look distorted in this camera. I don't know if it's just the camera lens or what, but it is really not that bad. This is pretty much lined up with that, and this is very well lined up with this. So, I mean, we're not perfectly on, but it's very close. Everything's tightened back up. The belt might just be a little bit loose. I don't want it too tight though. It's still got some pretty good tension on it. So we're gonna give this a shot, see how it goes. We'll fire her up and see what happens. See if it flips over and does bad things. All right, as you can see, she's still jumping around just a little bit. I think that belt is stretched a little. But I've got her about as tight as she can go, and it's better than it was. So we're probably going to go with it. I know for a fact that it's not any worse than it was for the last 3 years. So it's probably just going to need a new belt, but at least we're running pretty dang straight now. And like I said, I think the belt might just be a little bit too long, so it's got a little bit of a jump to it, but I've got it tightened up about as tight as I can get it, brought this way. Yeah, it's not doing too bad at this point. Like I said, belt is a little bit loose, I think. You're probably going to need a little bit smaller belt, but that's another day. Actually did more tweaking on it. We added a couple washers on the bottom near the power steering pump bracket, and that straightened it out really nice. Okay, I promised you guys I'd show you the lights. So as you can see, those are like a screw-in type of a light that's got a little pigtail on it there, and then that just converts to the original adapter. Of course, I've got a bunch of wrap around it, so you can't really see, but you can see the bottom one down there.
There's the top one. And so, like I said, those are simply, these are just glass enclosures. And they're just got a hole in the back, and these things screw into it. So I'll see if I can find the link for that on the website. I think I got them all on Amazon. I think I got both the light fixture and the LED bulbs that I'm using that are screwed into there. So I'll see if I can provide a link for you on there.
That's going to be it for today. There's going to be a lot more videos hopefully on this truck. I've got a lot of work to do to it. There's still several things that are just little things that are irritating me, or just things I want to upgrade. Eventually I'm going to do some body work. We're going to paint this thing. That's a ways down the road. Still trying to work out the carburetor situation. I don't know. I'm not a carburetor guy, and at some point I may have to pull it off and rebuild it, or it's going to end up with an electronic fuel injection system like a Sniper or something slapped on top of this thing. But we're not quite there yet, but it does seem to be running pretty good right now. But I do have some carburetor issues. I have some problems with it fouling the plugs, so hopefully we can resolve that over time. But again, lots of little things I'll probably be working on. I don't know what's coming up next, but I'll keep you guys informed. Thanks for watching. If you haven't, please subscribe, like my videos, comment on them, all that stuff. Hit the bell so you get alerted when I get new videos. Thanks for watching again. See you next time.